Oh, and speaking of the next video, what is the next video going to be? Well, it just might have something to do with this. What is that anyways? It has to do with a sink. All right, if you want to know how to fix a leaking sink and a pop-up valve, stick around. Oh, that's funny. I put the Listerine in there to remind myself not to turn that water on because it was dripping, drip, 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 and pouring out underneath the sink. So actually I turned the valves off underneath the sink, so I don't need that anymore. And have you ever seen, this is your little plunger thing that fits down in here underneath and with a nut. See, it comes actually like this. This is the replacement part that I got, and it's for the stopper. You take your stopper, and I happen to have the old one here. See? And this has a hole that fits in there, down underneath there, and then you've got a nut that holds that on, and then this part fits for your extension over here, and then it hooks on with that little spring-loaded goodie. And I still have the spring-loaded goodie, and I went to the store to find one of these. I have never in all my years seen one so bad. It rusted this off, and it actually ate the end off. See, the end is supposed to be about that long. And this one, son of a gun, it matched up perfectly, so that's why I got this one here. And this condo is only 15 years old, and this had to have happened within the first 7-8 years. I have no idea how you could eat through this, you know. But when I went to the store, I didn't quite know if I would be able to find one that matched exactly, but I did. I did. And I'm not going to use this nut or this. See, this is that spring-loaded deal that slides on there. And lots of times you may only need one of these if you've lost yours. Did you know some stores you can buy just that, believe it or not? Okay. And so that will fit in there like that, and then you've got a nut down there that tightens up, and then you can get that adjusted right. Put this on that other rod that's down there that has all the holes in it. And you would put one on here, and then you'd put it through the rod, and then you would bend this, you know, twist it up, and then put it there, and the rod, you know, like that, and the rod's going to be in between there. And it's a little trial and error. You just have to try a couple different times to get your valve adjusted right, because you want it up high enough when it's closed so that the water can still go down there. And see, some of these, look at this, it's got a rubber washer on there, and they got all different ones. I don't know if this unscrews. It might, and I don't think I'm going to mess with it. It might not unscrew. Some unscrew, and some unscrew the opposite direction, and some have an O-ring area. They've got all kinds of these. And you know, if you can't find the right one that you need, I should have gotten the other one too, just to show you, but they had another pack like this, and it was universal. It had 3 different little balls like this, one smaller, one bigger than that, and one this size. And then you would take the end off and then push it back on, and it was plastic, and then the thread, and then this extension piece was plastic. You know, so because not one size will fit everything, all right? And so that's how I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Now, when this thing ripped off, it was actually ripped off in this sink over here. Mommy was having a fit because she couldn't use that, because when she does her contact lenses, she was afraid she was going to drop her contact lens down there. So I took the good one of this over on this sink and put it over on her sink, and you know, mine wouldn't have leaked had I have left this in and put the nut on there. This wouldn't have worked, obviously, and then just leave this out because that wouldn't have worked. That would have been down tight. But I could have just left that in there and it would still work and it wouldn't leak all over the place. But I pulled this out because I was going to take it to the store. Then I put the nut back on, and on the back side, when I turn this on, it would just keep dripping really super fast. It would hit just right and whoosh, and go out there and got everything wet underneath the sink. I should have known better. But hey, I went, that's why I shut the water off down below. And I thought, you know, even on the nut, if I didn't want to have that on there, I thought, wait a minute, I could take the nut and take a plastic bit, cut it with some tin snips, fit it in there. And so there's a plastic shield in there, you know, like a mayonnaise jar, you know, that heavy plastic, or like a peanut butter jar, an empty peanut butter jar. Take the plastic and cut that and then shove it in there, screw that back on there, and voila, you've got it fixed for the time being until you get another one. I could have done that, but it was only for a night, and so that's why I left this one out. Or you just leave this old one in there and keep the nut tight on there, and then the day you go to the store, just remember not to run your water, because if you got stuff under there like Kleenex boxes or any paper or your towels or anything like that, it's all going to get wet under there if you turn your sink back on. Remember that. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to go ahead and replace this. I might show you a little bit, but it's really cramped down in there, and it's going to be virtually impossible for me to run the video camera as I'm down there trying to do the work. So I'll show you a little bit on that. A couple times I got to pull the camera off and not set it on the tripod or anything like that, so you get the gist. Because you know, you don't have to call a plumber. You can do these different odds and ends on your own. And incidentally, talking about plumbing, I got all kinds of videos on my channel. Go to my main YouTube channel page and click on playlists, and then scroll down to plumbing repairs, bathroom repairs, plumbing new and old repairs, or you know, something about plumbing. Click on there and scroll through all the many videos. Any sort of plumbing video I've ever posted to this particular YouTube channel, you will find there, and it could help you out. Why pay a plumber when lots of things you can do yourself? You know, they probably charge you $85 an hour or more. And if they come out, and you know, if they come out for this and your sink was wet underneath down in the cabinet and you didn't want to look at it, maybe it was just this, and you watch this particular video and you saved yourself, because you're going to call a plumber. Before the plumber steps into your door, it's probably going to cost you $125 for his visit, for his trip charge, for his van charge, for his employee charge, and all that kind of stuff. Before, maybe that gives you 15 minutes. And if he can't fix it in 15 minutes, then you get charged per half hour or whatever it is. For something like this, be prepared to spend $125 or up to maybe $175, because he's going to charge you for the part too. And guess what? He's going to mark that up 100% too. And, you know, save your money on some of the things for plumbing. I know you can do it yourself. See, even this should fit on most, but it doesn't. This one is a little bit bigger in diameter than this one. The threads are still about the same, but this one's bigger, so I've got to use that one, and that's fine. It's even got the little thumb turns on there. I'm using that. Okay, so some sinks this will fit on, others it won't. So before you start throwing all your parts away, you know, go to the store, get your parts, come back, and you might have to reuse things. And sometimes the threads on this down there, if they drip, you can always wrap it with Teflon tape. I'm not going to wrap mine with Teflon tape. I don't think. I do have some Teflon tape though. I might, but it's designed that you shouldn't have to. When this gets pushed up in there, you got plastic rubbing on plastic, And when you tighten that up, it gives yourself a nice tight friction on the back side, and it really shouldn't tighten up, or really should tighten up without using Teflon tape. But if you have some Teflon tape and if you think you need to use it, go ahead and use it. Make sure you put it on the right direction. There's always a right and wrong way to do everything, even when you're installing Teflon tape. Took me a few minutes to get this fixed, but you know, I'm just letting water run, and then I'm checking underneath the sink to make sure it's not leaking. I did put some Teflon tape on there, and these threads, because these threads are so fine, you got to hold your mouth just right, because you're up in there kind of cattywampus and backwards and stuff. As you're tightening it, you got to hold your mouth just right. You want to make sure you don't cross thread that onto the nipple back there. And see, when I pull that, the water's holding in there in the sink, and that's what you want. You know, if you're shaving or if you're washing fine linen stuff or fine things like some sort of woman's lingerie or top or something that you wanna have that. And see how I got it? I got it up kind of up sort of high. You don't want this. And see, I had to fish that little thing in there to keep that so it's not popping up. You don't want that when you have it fully opened. You don't want it fully open to about there, because then lots of times you have to kind of jiggle this around. You get a little bit of hair in there, and it's going to start plugging up. When it's open all the way, you want it up kind of high. You know, when I adjust Momi, see, I got hers up kind of high too. See? And when you pull it down, it's fine. Okay? That's about how you want it. All right? And so I'm going to run it a little bit more, and I'm just making sure that the threads, that it's not dripping down there. I'm going to take you off the tripod here for a minute and get you down underneath the sink. I'm just going to leave that on. And see, there's the rod. When the rod gets stuck in there, see how I hooked it on that V-shaped deal on there, and I put the Teflon tape on these threads. You want to put the Teflon tape around in the same direction that you're going to tighten it up. If you put the Teflon tape on there the opposite, as you're tightening this up, it's actually loosening up the Teflon tape. You don't want that. And then I'm just gonna shine my my flashlight or my phone down in here. After a while, feel on there, make sure there's no wetness or anything like that. Okay. And I think I got it. By Joe. No plumber necessary. I probably just saved myself $175 for doing it myself. Yeah, I had to go to the store, to Home Depot. But now I got a few parts. I got this little piece. I'm not throwing that away. I never know when I'm going to use that for somebody else's sink. And this, of course, this is throwaway now. Okay, and I can save those for next time. And I saved myself probably $175. Went to the store. Took me 15 minutes at the store. And it took me probably 15 minutes to fix this. So a half an hour, and I got all that money left in my pocket. What am I going to do with it now? Ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm still running that and testing it. Just because I'm not running the video camera doesn't mean I'm doing the same thing I told you I would. And see, here's the container. I'm not going to throw that away. This is a nice little box I can save for different things. Here I got a little check valve. I've got to investigate into that, and a little piece of tubing for my jacuzzi tub that was leaking that I got fixed, but I'm going to still check it out. Here's my little parts for that. I can throw miscellaneous screws in there. and all kinds of stuff, and I can just store that on my shelf. Yeah, repurpose, baby. Here's the last little tip I'm going to share with you on this. When you're tightening up that small little nut back up in here, there's a fine line with how tight you want to do it. If you make it too tight, you might find that it's hard to adjust this rod with your pull back here, pull it up and down. You get it too tight, maybe it doesn't work properly. But then again, if you get it too loose, you could start dripping water out of the backside of that. That's why I'm letting this run for 3 or 4 minutes. If you got any water down here at all, then you can take your pliers and tighten this up about a 1/4 turn. Okay? And then check it again. Dry it all up, check it again. Get a little bit more water, tighten it a little bit. Don't try to over tighten it the first time, because if you over tighten it, you might strip the threads. It's only those threads are very fine, and you tighten up something too much and you're going to make it leak. And then your threads may get bad on this piece here, your male threads and your female threads. Okay, you may have to replace this because you tried to over tighten it on this and you screwed up some threads or cross threaded it because you didn't get it on there just right, and you tightened it up, and then you got a mess of it, and you got to replace this riser piece and the nut on the back side. Okay, so be careful with that. That's another reason why I put Teflon tape on there, in case your threads are old threads, and if something's slightly off, and if it's 15-20 years old, the Teflon tape may do the trick as well. Why not put the Teflon tape on there as an insurance policy once and be done with it? So that's what I did, and it's a good thing I did. I'm happy with it. It's not dripping. Had it started dripping now, I'd have to pull it all apart, put the Teflon tape. So just go ahead, do things right. It only takes a few seconds more to do it right and get your Teflon tape on there. What's Teflon tape, you say? It's just this stuff here. It comes like that. That's what your Teflon tape looks like. And you always want to have that ready. You never know when you're gonna need it. Last but not least, one more tip for you. When you're working under a sink and stuff, when you're storing things, you see I got toilet paper here right on the bottom shelf. I've got Kleenex right on the bottom shelf. I've got all this other stuff on the bottom shelf. And what I should do is measure and see what kind of tubs I could get, and I could put all this stuff in a tub and on the same side. But see, here they got the water lines right down on the floor. I don't know why they did that. How much longer would it have taken them, when they built this, to just put those up on the wall? It would have been so simple to do. And then I could have easily stacked more things down here and put shelves in here, on a little plastic container or something. But I'm still going to try to do that. If you can get all your stuff in tubs and get it situated away from this, don't have a tub directly underneath where your P-trap is and where your sink valves are and all that kind of stuff, then if you ever get a leak, whether it be from your pop-up valve leaking on the backside, or your nut was cracked, or this was cracked or rusted out, or your water lines on the wall or wherever started dripping, this is going to get all wet. And it may take you a few weeks before you even realize that you got a leak underneath your sink. If you got all your stuff down underneath the sink in tubs, at least you're protecting all your stuff from getting wet. Okay, there's my last tip for you from Joe. Hey, well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.